Just keep looking at me. Welcome back to Tissueworld here on Conference TV at Milan's Tissueworld 2019, where we're getting to talk to and meet the key players that were involved in the conferencing side of the Tissueworld event here in Italy this year. With us now from Step Change Consulting in Austria, Joe Klein is here. Now, Joe actually headed up a panel on day one talking about the mill of the future, and we'll be interviewing some of the panelists that Joe had on his session as well. But I guess from a consulting point of view, it was perfect having you head up the panel, and thank you for so doing. And your first time at Tissueworld doing it yourself now. The mill of the future was your chosen subject. What was the main essence of what was coming out of your panel, Joe?
I think what's important is that everyone talked about collaboration. It's really not about one player dominating the space, but what came out was really that it's a need to integrate information across the whole value chain, but it's not necessarily possible by one player, but it's really part of an ecosystem of the industry. So it's really about that collaborative part. On the other side, it was also clear that it still needs to be figured out. So it's not one ready-made solution that the middle
one size doesn't fit all. It's got to be a different scenario.
Exactly. And the mill of the future at this point doesn't really exist as such. So
Is it a mythical creature, the mill of the future?
I wouldn't call it a myth. It still needs to be developed. There's so many elements. The whole industry is working on topics of digitalization, as the surveys showed that we conducted among top management in the industry. It's top of mind at this point. It's really top of mind. A few years ago, it was not. So I think that's changed. And as the top managers are driving it, even though they're certainly not millennials, but they do know that they need to do something about it. And that's driving now a massive amount of change and investment in digitalization, but yet to be figured out.
I'm glad that you've said a massive amount of investment in digitalization. Is there, because that leads me to this question really, which says, is there a desire to change, to create this mill of the future across the platform of industry?
I think it's more a need and a must to do so. It is clear, even though no one has figured it out yet 100%, but that information will be key. So it's not just running machines and assets, it's also the information that is being captured, that is available, and making that use across the supply chain. So it is clear that those who own then the information and that it's something that can be done out of it will create value. But it's not so clear yet how exactly that will work. There are, however, a lot of great examples by the suppliers in the industry developing predictive analytic tools, those kind of things. So it's more like Silicon Valley stuff nowadays almost.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the mill of the future in reality is going to look very, very different to a mill from the 60s, 70s, and even 1980s, I guess. I mean, this is an industry renowned for sweating its assets. The mill of the future means a lot of investment, a lot of change, brand new things. So that was why I asked you that question about desire, and your answer was there's a need or a must. Is there a willingness within that across the industry platform to accept that?
I do think it's clear that the next level needs to be achieved, and that can only be achieved through the next level use of technology and integrating the data with the machinery. So the standalone machinery that we've seen in the past, kind of standalone, because it's not like everything is digital today and was analog yesterday, but of course, there have been solutions available, but what we're seeing today in the possibilities to integrate the available information, that's just a need. Those who will want to go the next step will have to lead this change.
And Joe, what did you most want to leave a message with the audience of? What, if there was one key thing that you wanted to take away from your audience to walk out of the room with, what would that be, sir?
I think it's about also, I mean, Industry 4.0 digitalization is coming. There's no question about that. Everyone knows it. But it also requires upskilling, and thinking about how to utilize and change that is necessary with the people. And I think that's an essential item. That the technology is only one part, but then how do you transform in a company and taking that to the top level management agenda. I think that's
Wow.
important.
You know, in many ways, I'm so impressed with the content of the conference at Tissueworld. Day one was literally magnificent. You know, day 2 and 3 we'll talk about later, but from day one's point of view, we seem to literally hit the nail on the head for the right descriptive terms and the right content. Were you feeling that as well at Tissueworld this year?
Absolutely. I think it was a great mix of content from all sides, and I think there is, I'm sensing a kind of a momentum here also, so it seems like there's content from all kinds of areas coming. I think it's a great fit.
That's a great description.
And I'll
I
come
love
back.
that. I'm glad. I'm going to hopefully come back as well. Joe Klein, thank you very much indeed for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you
What
for
an
having us.
absolute pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.